for you from us. That'll be $15.95, please.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rooster Teeth podcast. This week brought to you by... Coming to you live from Cyber Monday, I'm Gus.
Oh, I'm Jeff. Hey.
I am Bernie.
I can't see shit with these on.
I actually like these glasses.
They're so
No, you
stupid.
don't.
My face is
You look like dickheads.
My face is so oily, it's like slowly pinching off.
Is it really?
Yeah. Is yours staying on okay?
I like the way it's got like these little clamps, and then you grab it and put it on. So for those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, Gus and I have on stupid Morpheus.
They're like Morpheus.
What do they call it? Like, do you have
These are
the
sunglasses?
earpiece? Earpiece.
They don't have legs.
What are they called?
Legs.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
No.
No, not called legs.
Yeah. Aren't they called legs?
Legs on your glasses.
Yeah.
Earpiece.
Parts of
Regardless, they make both of your faces look fat.
Warby Parker.
And you guys don't have particularly... Gus' face a little fat. Yours is getting better because you lost weight.
Yeah.
But with those dumb round glasses on, you look fat like he looked
Arms.
fat.
Although...
Well, you were way off. Where the fuck did my Diet Coke become a...
They gave you a glass. It's marketing, Jeff.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, speaking of marketing, and speaking of Cyber Monday...
What's that?
I want to remind everyone we're having a Cyber Monday sale. All t-shirts at $15. MDB, Achievement Hunter High Star 50% off. Act fast. Deals end when Cyber Monday does. If you're not watching live, you can check out the store for new merch from Rooster Teeth, Ruby, Achievement Hunter, and more. Shop Rooster Teeth store. Have a happy holiday. And of course, Garbo Tuesday is tomorrow.
It'd be real fucking nice if y'all bought that heist game, because somebody's got to.
Buy
Please.
it.
Please buy it.
Yeah.
Buy it as charity. Buy it and use it as a brick and build a house with it. Buy a bunch of them.
You might have missed when it came out because it was in like chapter 18 of the marketing email this last week.
Was it in the 5th or the 6th email I got yesterday? I don't remember.
I've been reading the cliff notes on those.
I just see all the new threads pop up. People, do we send 104 emails
We got
a day?
George R.
right
R.
now?
Martin working on
I get the emails too.
George R. R. Martin doesn't put stuff out there.
I notice at email a day usually. But wow, we're prolific with our emailing, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that scene. But what I will say, like, every time I see one of those threads, they're like, God damn it, Rooster Teeth, they're spamming me with emails. All I can think of is, if we're doing it, it must be working, right?
I assume so.
So here's the problem.
It costs money to send those emails. They're not free. Nathan Isherwood doesn't send each, like, a million emails individually a day.
He just cut and paste.
So we're paying a service.
Put everyone's address in.
We're spending, cash is going out, which must mean cash is coming in. So it must mean those emails are awesome.
Do you know, Jeff, that I learned on a podcast recently? I had to send a fax.
It's the hardest thing on earth to do.
Yeah.
I had to do it
impossible.
too. For taxes.
Taxes.
I had to send a fax.
So I got eFax, and I mentioned to Gus that I was on this 30-day trial. I got eFax. And he goes, oh, I have that service. I go, you still have eFax? Now I know why he has it. I went to cancel it before the 30-day trial. You gotta call and talk to somebody to cancel. That's a fucking smart move.
Honestly use it.
You do not.
I tried to help you. They were down that day. I tried to help him.
Yeah, apparently every fax machine in the world was down tax day. Gus's eFax suddenly didn't work.
Right?
I hear like Emily Weeks is the fax whisperer in the company. Nobody could find her. Like it was impossible to fax anywhere.
It should be impossible to fax. Aren't we past that at this
Totally
point?
agree.
I'm going to take a picture of my iPhone and send it to you.
That's how I got past faxing. I just took a fucking photo of my tax form and sent it to my dude, and he was like, perfect, thanks.
That's it? That works?
Your phone is better than any photocopier we grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
By a long shot. Did you guys ever have those?
You gotta crop all that shit out, though.
What were those things
The
we had?
mimeograph machines?
Yeah, what was that? It was like a spinning drum.
Yeah, it was like it had that purple ink.
Yeah.
That's just...
This is the old man portion of the podcast, by the way.
I thought that was just shit they made kids do in grade school when they had too much free time. They're like mimeograph stuff for the teacher, like extra for like.
It would put up these blue ink forms, just like you're taking a quiz or purple, and they smelled. And I remember kids would get them and sit there and smell them,
and it would smudge.
And it was two things that taught you to huff when you were a kid. It was those, and it was those markers that smelled like fruit.
Yeah,
bad idea. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Like the blue one smelled like blueberry, which, by the way, doesn't smell like anything. But they would scent them, so kids would sit there and fucking huff these markers in school all day.
That's the mimeograph machine.
I don't even want to get, I have that long history with huffing stuff, and the whole time I had to go to the hospital because I huffed too much gas. And I've told all those stories in the podcast before, but I am intimately familiar with huffing.
Yeah, but I'm curious now, what kind of gas did you huff?
Gas out of a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Like
just unleaded? Or?
Gasoline, like 87 gasoline, octane.
Was that the best
gasoline.
octane?
It was when I was in the Army. So like,
all
I
I could
told you,
afford,
like,
Gus.
I was big into huffing lighter fluid and gas and Scotch Guard and stuff when I was a kid because I was from Alabama, and that's what the smart kids did. But no, I was like when I was in the Army doing detail work before journalism school started, and they put me in a room with 100 lawnmowers, and they said empty these out for the winter, and I was like on it. And then I woke up in a back of a pickup truck going to the hospital.
It's their fault, really. They're not giving you proper.
And they were like,
ventilation.
"You must have just been cooped up too much," and I'm like, "Yeah, that must have been it."
So you know the dude who does Smarter Every Day just held ThinkerCon in Alabama.
I don't know
Were
what
you not-
smarter every day is.
Destin, you know Destin from Smarter Every Day?
Oh, that dude,
Yeah.
Gavin's friend.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a real nice dude. He does not. I met him one time. I immediately just launched into how much Alabama sucks. He likes it a lot,
Right.
And I felt bad.
And
I'm like, I'm sure your Alabama is different than mine.
well, he has your Achilles heel too, where he's a good judge of character, which is terrible for you.
Yeah, it's true,
So
it's true.
that wasn't going anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
But he just held ThinkerCon, and I think Sally was on her way there when
Yeah,
she was
she's
on the
in a-
podcast. Sally LePage, Dr. LePage.
Is it
Call it Dr.
Paging
LePage?
Dr.
ThinkerCon
LePage?
in Alabama?
Yeah.
That's
So were you-
hilarious.
as an alumnus, a native of Alabama, were you not invited back
I
to
didn't
that?
get the invite.
Yeah, I bet not. Didn't make the ThinkerCon cut.
They're just gathering up all the nerds so they know where to go to beat them up.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened with this world where Gavin Freeze, that little fucking idiot that we met 10 years ago or whatever, 15 years ago now, that idiot is invited to like Cerebral Con. You know, how is that possible?
Talk about winning the lottery. Did he go to ThinkerCon?
Oh, dude, go ahead.
I was thinking about him when I was in England with Matt, and like I had this weird thing where like I had a last minute trip with Matt and Alfredo where we went to Paris and London for one day each, and then we were home. Like I was in Europe for less than 72 hours.
By the way, I completely told Gus about that. Can you even say what it's for?
I don't think so.
I
Not
absolutely
yet.
threw
It's a
you under the
branded
bus.
deal,
I told
but-
Gus about it. Now he's livid.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, we're gonna talk.
That's fine.
Once
we
this
can,
thing comes out, Gus is
Yeah.
gonna open up both barrels.
we can
I think.
talk. I don't know what I did wrong. I was offered something and I took it.
It was a good job.
I mean, I didn't get paid for it or anything.
But
it was
dude,
just like
you got to travel. That's fucking dope.
I got to go spend 18 hours in Paris and less in London. I wasn't in either place for 24 hours. However, I got to thinking about Gavin and like where he grew up. And I always think about him in England. We actually did a Achievement Haunter episode. Fuck, it's actually the one that comes out Wednesday, the Hellfire Caves, is 30 minutes from where he grew up.
Really?
And so I got to see like the countryside where he grew up and stuff. And I was thinking about how his charmed life and how his career started. And he's like the one out of 50 dudes that when an elderly person in the neighborhood takes him aside,
Right.
doesn't get molested.
Right.
Like he's the only one. He's the one that didn't get touched.
Are we the elderly dude in this analogy?
No,
Because he's
like,
got a lot of
the guy
elderly
took
dudes
him-
in his
the
life.
guy-
He also grew up in the UK versus the US. Is that more prevalent here?
Well, ask Gary Glitter and all those like what are all those dudes that like that isn't it like in England if you're beloved for 40 or 50 years and you die they find out you're a pedophile?
Who was the dude who was like,
Not Pat Sharp, he was
Mr.
the other
Blobby.
Mr. Blobby, like all of them. They're all
Oh, was Mr. Blobby really?
wasn't one of the
don't
guys from the Who? Wasn't he like researching?
he was researching
Yeah,
researching child porn.
in order to help shut it down.
Yeah, but so was Shaq for a while, right? And I shut him.
Okay.
But
Allegedly.
But anyway, no, like, and so Gavin befriended this dude in the neighborhood who was like a nice older man who had a camera.
Dan Grucci.
And the way it ends is Gavin in therapy, but it didn't. It ended
should.
with Gavin having a career.
It should end with Gavin taking photos with his shirt off in front of wood paneling.
Yeah,
that's how that
exactly.
story should end, in somebody's
Yeah.
basement. But no, now he's a successful YouTuber.
But now he gets to go to the ThinkerCon.
arguably, probably one of the best brands on YouTube. Like everyone I know, they don't know what Slow Mo Guys is, but they've seen a Slow Mo Guys
Even if they
video.
don't consider themselves like people who watch YouTube videos or YouTube channels, they probably couldn't name them. But if you said that, they would know it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm struggling to think of what a better brand
Well,
on
Smosh
YouTube
is
would
gone.
be.
Well, not gone.
Well, not gone, but they're.
Kinda
I mean, who
stopped.
knows what's
Hit
up
pause.
with Smosh? Yeah,
Hit pause.
they got their whole I've been out of the country for the last week,
There's
so
that
I've been
Phil
away from
DeFranco.
news. Phil, yeah, he's managed to have a pretty good. But as far as like
Justine?
a brand and a service, yeah,
Yeah, Justine.
Justine.
She's crushing it.
She
year after
crushes
year.
it,
There's
yeah,
that tiny lady who
forever.
cooks stuff. She had the dog party. What was that we talked about?
Dog party?
Rosanna
Rosanna
Pansino.
Pansino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Small person.
she's very small.
She's like travel sized.
She is tiny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I sat next to her at a
Get the feeling
YouTube
she would
lunch,
kick
and
your ass
she.
too. She's like got photos of her like working out and stuff. She's fucking ripped.
Well, dude, my first wife was 4'11", and she could if you pissed her off enough, she could have kicked Andre the Giant's ass. Like size means nothing. It's all about rage.
Do you think I came to that?
I remember the night.
I still get scared that I see her every now and then.
You talking about the night you called her and told her that I was acting weird and I insisted we go to a strip club?
I forgot about that.
whole thing?
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I thought she was going to kill us all.
That was like Bernie frat boy days of like stupid jokes, playing stupid jokes, and that was a
funny.
prank I tried to pull on Jeff by telling his wife that he was making us go to a strip club.
And that
Not
he was
Griffin.
acting erratically.
Sarah, my first
Yes.
wife. And that I was acting erratic.
Because we had to go. This is weird. We worked in telecom, and it was like it's weird. We work in entertainment. We never do the stuff in the entertainment industry, but in telecom industry, we just go on like hunting trips and take clients to strip clubs. And
It
stuff
was
like
an expected part of the telecom career field that you take clients to steak dinners and strip clubs.
Right.
That's what they want 100% of the time.
that. Well, not everybody. works in
100% of the time.
it was a different time
Yeah.
back then.
But no, really, like it would be like, hey, we got so and so coming in from Dallas. They want to go to Sugars. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're going to a strip club tonight.
So, to be clear, what happened here was Jeff said, I guess if I'm going, I bet I should call my wife and let her know that I'm going there. So he goes outside to call his wife, Sarah, and I just dial her on the other line really fast and cut him off at the pass and say, hey, Jeff's really trying to get us all to go to a strip club and we don't want to go. And the joke here was going to be that you were going to call and talk to her and she was going to think that you were lying to her. Like, oh, my boss is making me go to the strip club and I got to go do this thing. And she'd be like, I just talked to him and he said you're convincing everybody. That's not the way she took it at all. She took it as Jeff has had a break from reality and
Call
he
the
needs
hospital.
help. Yeah,
Yeah.
he needs to be committed or something like that.
Yeah.
So, pretty scary.
I forgot about that.
I
too.
forgot about that too.
Hilarious.
What a great joke.
She had a reason not to like me.
I forgot about a lot of stuff, but then I got sober. Now I'm starting to remember shit again. So
Is that how it works?
remember
Comes
one.
back?
Yeah, eventually it comes back.
I don't remember shit. Every now and then I have like a weird memory that unlocks in a weird way, like either a smell or I see a pattern. I don't know how else to describe it.
I understand completely.
And all of a sudden it unlocks something. I'm like, oh, I didn't even remember this.
I feel like if you put us and Matt maybe together, or even just the three of us together, we could probably piecemeal most of the last 15 years together. But I'm amazed at the stuff like I'll just have a conversation with him at lunch or something. Not that we ever go to lunch, but on the rare occasion. And he'll remind me of something that I have completely and totally expunged from my memory. And he remembers like it was yesterday. It's really weird.
We had that recently.
You like that Mary Lou Henner?
When we were in Seattle like 2 years ago, you took me to restaurants I didn't remember, and I was like, holy shit, we did. And you're like, we used to come here every fucking year.
Yeah.
We would sit at that booth, and I had just lost it all. Yeah, it's weird. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I remember one or two things that you don't.
I'm sure you do. I think it happened recently. We were talking somewhere about something, and you reminded me of something I totally forgotten about.
You misremember people's names a lot. And I'll have to be like, no,
it's hard for me to remember people's names.
Yeah.
It's a real problem I have. It's just because I don't care.
Do you know that you should know it?
I know I should. It's just difficult.
Really? Does Esther help you with that?
No, I'm talking about like even people we work with or other
No, I get
people.
that.
Yeah.
I was thinking like in a social situation when you run into somebody at a party and then you're like, oh, I don't know their person's name. And so that's the spouse's or the partner's job to help you out with that. Then I realized you don't go to parties and go outside.
So that doesn't happen too
That doesn't
frequently.
apply to you,
Yeah.
I guess, in any way. Patrick, I sent you a photo of a thing to talk about. So I was thinking about this yesterday about memory and stuff because I got a new cat. I got a little kitten, little mush cat. And
What are you going to name it?
Mush cat. That's
Mush cat?
That's the
Okay.
name. Yeah, Mush.
All right.
Mush the cat.
Isn't the cat redundant?
It's Mush.
Is
Just call him Mush.
the grieving period over for Joe, and now it's time to move
Well,
on?
it's an orange cat. He's an orange cat too. And people are gonna think it's like I'm trying to replace Joe the cat. Joe the cat's like the third orange cat I own. I have a theory, and it's turned out to be true so far, with one glaring exception, and that is that orange male cats have the best personalities. The one exception being
Garfield?
no, fucking Seamus.
Heathcliff?
Your cat.
Seamus.
Oh, Seamus.
Seamus was Gus's cat, and he was a fucking nightmare.
He was not good.
He would do that deep bite, like he would bite and like draw blood.
I remember when I got him from the shelter, the one that used to be down here on Town Lake. I went down to the shelter, and they have all the cats like in cat prison. They're all like behind cages, and I was walking through, and the reason Seamus stood out was he was reaching his right front paw out like this. And I thought, oh, that's really kind of cute. He's like waving, trying to get attention. No, he was trying to scratch.
Yeah, he was.
I had misinterpreted it.
I don't remember why, but eventually you decided that you no longer had room in your life for
I had to
Seamus.
move to a different place.
So I took Seamus over. And do you remember when we brought Seamus home and Sarah, first wife again, went up to it and stuck her face in front of Seamus and said, "Aren't you so cute? You're so cute." And she'd known the cat. The cat had been a nightmare. Yeah. And you go, "Don't do that." And I go, "Don't do that." And she goes, "It's okay. He's happy here." And right when she said that, he grabbed her right here and went, and she reached back, already in tears, blood everywhere. And that's what it was like until he moved on.
It was like a face hugger from Alien. Just in there.
She had scars.
It was bad.
He would sit at the top. I don't know if you remember this, but he would sit at the top of the house on the roof where the roof crested, and he would sit there and he would just watch the neighborhood. And if he saw anything that he didn't like a dog that was 60 pounds bigger than him, he would run down the side of the house and take off after it.
He would chase cars. Remember that?
And one day he chased after something and he never came back.
Well, he would chase after raccoons all the time.
And I assume he's still on an adventure somewhere.
He's still running.
Yeah.
To this day.
He was the meanest, angriest animal.
You know what I saw? Saw last week, like Monday before Thanksgiving. I saw the wild animals that were released years ago in Austin, and I rarely see them. The monk parakeets.
Oh yeah, you see them around.
Parrots or parakeets?
Parrots, I think. Right?
I think they're parrots.
It's just a flock of tropical birds, green birds that live in Austin because they escaped from wasn't it a pet shop or a pet truck?
I think it was like something like that, like in a flood or bad weather or something. They got out,
right?
And yeah, there's like a herd of them, and you see them a lot on Riverside,
or flock,
yeah, a bird herd. You see them a lot on Riverside, like on HEB and shit. I was, because I used to live over there. I would always see them. Yeah.
You want to see a picture of Mush?
In years. Yeah.
Got that photo, Patrick, of Little Mush? Yeah, it's Little Mush.
Oh.
Look at him. Tiny. He's tiny.
He's adorable. How old is he? Do you know?
He's 8 weeks. Got him at the animal shelter.
Town Lake Animal Shelter or the Pets Alive Animal Shelter?
So apparently that's the same thing. Apparently the Pets Alive is Town Lake, but the Austin Animal Shelter is out on 183.
Yes.
Like where that weird bridge. Like they just gave up on street planning when they got to that part of Austin.
Did.
It's like everything goes every direction. It's where a warehouse used to be.
It's different though because Pets Alive, you can't go unless you're 18. Like they wouldn't let Millie in at the old Town Lake Animal Shelter, the one down by Town Lake. Kind of over where I live. Yeah, I remember Chelsea and Millie tried to go there last year and they wouldn't let Millie in. So they were like, "Fuck you, we're going to go to," and then I remember because I got annoyed because Chelsea used Millie's account to be like, to show some outrage. And I was like, "Don't, she's a kid. Let's not use her Twitter account for outrage." But they ended up going
she got her Twitter account back.
No, she never got her Twitter account back.
Man, I
petitioned for it. I filled out the paperwork. And I just never heard anything back. Yeah, but she never got her Twitter account back.
So how did that happen? Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah. So Millie turned 13, and she had it's one of those things where you have to be 13. The terms of services, you have to be 13 to have a Twitter account. So Griffin created a Twitter account for her when she was, I want to say, 10 or 11.
Very forward thinking.
And managed it. I thought it was a really cool thing of Griffin to do. And Griffin managed her. And it even said, like in the Twitter handle, like managed by Jeff and Griffin Ramsey, yada, yada, yada. And then when Millie turned 13, she said, "Hey, I'm finally legal. I can have a Twitter account now. I'm going to change my birth date on it." And I said, "Don't do that. There's no reason to do that. Hold off on that. Don't do that." And Millie said, "Nah, you don't know what you're talking about." And I said, that weird shit happens when you do that stuff. Your Twitter account's fine. It doesn't matter what your date of birth is on it.
There's no
problem. Don't rock the boat. There's no problem here. And she was like, the next morning she came in and she goes,
"Dude."
And I go, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "I changed my birthday." And then it said, "This means that you've had an illegal account. We're locking your account." So I was annoyed and also I told you so. It was great. And then is that like, you know this because you're a parent. You love those little moments when you're like, "This is what happens when you don't listen to daddy."
Yeah, but didn't she have like a 60,000?
She had like 70,000 Twitter followers.
That's a lot of work.
It's significant.
Yeah.
It's significant. And so I logged into her account. It said, "Hey, this has been locked because breach of terms of services. If in this specific instance, if you're a parent who was managing an account for a kid, send us this form with like your driver's license and your social security number and all this bullshit, and we'll take care of it." And I sent it all to them, and I didn't hear back, so I opened up another ticket and did it again, and I never heard back again. So if by any chance you work at Twitter and want to give Millie's Twitter account back, it'd be awesome. Otherwise, she just uses Instagram.
Almost never would I ever want to do a thing where it's like ask people to do things on social media, put pressure on somebody for something. I don't know why. This seems like with Twitter, doing that on Twitter and getting people to like try to get Millie her account back would be the way
It's just
to go.
unfortunate, you know?
Like I hate when people talk about airlines and stuff and they get all upset about the airlines.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I've retired from doing that. I've done that once or twice and then felt guilty about it afterward.
But
like I think I
Twitter,
yelled at American Airlines specifically.
nuking her account of 70,000 followers. Is
Just yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
it's unfortunate.
The other company it's
unfortunate.
okay to shame is the U.S. Postal Service, of course, because they have no shame.
What'd you do? What happened now?
Fuck them.
Did you have a problem?
I always have problems with them.
Is this episode sponsored by Stamps.com?
It is not. I literally
I'm done Christmas shopping. By the way.
I had a delivery
Already done.
in my PO box.
I'm gonna put my Cyber Monday.
It was marked as delivered. I was like, cool. I have something in my PO box. I went to get it an hour after it was marked as delivered, and there was nothing in the box. So I go to the counter and I go, hey, I'm looking for this package. You marked it as delivered. There's nothing in the box. Guy goes, that's weird. Let me look for it. He goes into the back for 10 minutes, comes back, goes, oh, here it is. They had just put the key in your box so you could retrieve this at one of the other little lockers. And I was like, this box would fit in my box. Why would they give me a key? They go, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Did you have a key?
yeah, the guy handed me a key. He's like, yeah, it's in the box right over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what a fucking racket.
The post office is something I don't think about anymore because it's 2018 and it's
go.
not something we deal with like we used to. But I just recently, I'm doing all this. It's like I have a new book coming out, so I'm doing all the press. So I was doing the Bungalow podcast last week or 2 weeks ago with Ezra and Matt, which is
You don't actually have a book coming out. Is this for
no,
Haunter?
I was being sarcastic.
Okay.
It's because that's what people do when they have a book come out. They have a movie coming out. They
is
do
that why they
press.
do that?
Yeah, fuck off. And so
I never put two and two together.
shut up. So God, this is why I stopped doing the fucking podcast.
No
with you.
shit. Stick to the point. Buy Jeff's book.
Yeah. But I was doing the Bungalow podcast because it was about merch, and I started our merch stuff, and I forgot how much of our early lives revolved around post offices till we started telling old stories, and it was a major part of our lives for
Man.
3 or 4 years, maybe.
Yeah.
3 years, maybe not quite that long. 2, 3 years.
It wasn't constant, but it would peak, and then we'd have enormous trouble.
And it was different, a little bit different back then because there was UPS and FedEx, but before the Amazon revolution took place, UPS and FedEx were still like premium services, premium private services.
Yeah.
Back then, you got a Pitney Bowes account. And you remember that? And they
Yep.
would give you the scale and that whole thing.
What happened to that company, Pitney Bowes?
I'm sure they're still around.
They had a
Fuck
stranglehold,
them.
just like the post office. They were
Fuck
the people who had
them.
where you could stamp your own postage.
Fuck
Big fucking
them.
deal. They would do like a
Fucking
security clearance
scam.
check on you.
Yeah, it was
Fuck
like, and it was
them.
super expensive.
It was
You had to
super
pay like a
expensive.
licensing fee and all this other shit.
Like them and the
You
fucking
had to
Better
rent the
Business
machine.
Bureau.
Yeah,
It's just
it was-
a fucking shakedown.
It was a racket.
It's a racket
$500
bullshit
a year or
shakedown.
something like that.
Yeah, fuck them.
But
I don't know
and
if I said that yet.
the frustrating part was when you drive to like all these different post offices and start mailing DVDs. We'd fill up the back of my truck with it, and we'd go and we'd stamp them all. Getting the stamps was a whole
The
own story.
Furbs.
And then we'd go to all these different post offices because we would show up at one and they go, "You can't send anymore."
Too much mail.
Yeah, we're like, these have your fucking stamps on it. We paid for this,
Yeah.
prepaid for this, so here, just ship this stuff. I'm like, nah, we can only take this amount. We'll take a third of it.
Yeah, I talked about the day that we discovered the. I told the story, and if you want to hear these stories, just listen to the fucking Bungalow podcast. But I mentioned the one story when we discovered the loading dock. What a revelation that was for us.
Yeah.
And also, I told the story about how when we tried to buy $1,400 worth of stamps and they wouldn't sell them to us because somebody else might want them.
Yeah, the Edna Ferber stamps.
Yeah, they're like, we're here. We want to buy
Where's
them.
somebody else?
It's like, can you imagine going to the store and like, no, we can't sell you 4 steaks. Somebody else might want a steak
Somebody else
later.
might
It's like,
want a steak later.
I want to eat the steak.
Somebody definitely wants a steak right now.
And her explanation to me was, she said very simply, she goes, well, let me explain this to you. Let's say I sell you all these stamps. They were 83-cent Edna Ferber stamps. I remember it so well. I had one. I was going to frame it in this massive frame, just an 83-cent stamp
But
for
24 by 36 frame, just with Edna Ferber right,
right in the middle for
Absolutely.
you. But I don't know what I did to the stamp. And she said to me, she goes, let's say I sell you all the 83-cent stamps that I have. Because I basically said, I will just buy all your stamps. She goes, how many do you need? I go, whatever you have, I will buy them because they were hard to find. And she goes, if I sell you all my 83-cent stamps, if someone comes in and they need an 83-cent stamp, I'll have to tell them I can't sell it to them. I'm like, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
You're making me
telling-
that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the person standing right in front of you and you're saying you won't sell it to me.
Edna Ferber was an American novelist, short story writer, and playwright.
Suffragist.
Yeah,
She's
she
a
was. She was a
suffragist,
suff-
Her novels include Pulitzer Prize
Suffragist.
winning So Big, Showboat, Cimarron, Giant, and Ice Palace.
She wrote the
Giant.
first draft of The Matrix, too. Not many people know that.
Interesting thing about you use the proper terminology. I learned recently the term suffragette is diminutive.
I never
and you're
heard
supposed to say
suffragette.
Suffragist. Suffragette used to be what people would say.
Oh.
But that's considered...
I've never heard suffragist
Where'd you learn
before.
that? In your research for your Red Dead part? Is that where you learned it?
no, I don't remember. I read it on Reddit or something.
Was it in your book?
I don't have a book.
You should have a book.
I agree.
You know, stop talking about your book. Jeff's new show, though, Achievement Haunter. I'm reluctant to say
Tell
this.
us more about it. When does that come out? Where can the people watch that?
I understand you hunt ghosts. That's got to be crazy. Any funny stories lately?
Jeff's show, and I think I'm okay saying this because it's well ingrained now, branding wise, with the audience. But it suffered from what I consider to be one of the strangest phenomenons in, I guess, the English language, which is where people will randomly make one word, decide that a word is either plural or possessive. And we worked at a company that people would do that to. The most famous example I can think of is... I almost choked out. There's a company in the U.S. called Eckerd Drugs, or there was. It's probably gone now.
It's gone. It got absorbed by CVS.
Absorbed.
Yeah.
AT&T bought them.
You mean Eckerd's?
Yeah. And everybody called Eckerd Drugs Eckards. And they just called it Eckerd's. And the name of the store was not Eckerd's. It was
Well, you could see
Eckerd.
it being Eckerd's Drugs, but
Right.
no one would ever say it. It was just Eckerd.
But it wasn't. You know, it was just Eckerd. And they had to register domain names for Eckerd's and everything else because everyone wanted to make that word plural. And they were trying to do that with Achievement Haunter.
They still do it constantly, and it's like in meetings and shit. People like, you know, you and Matt and Ezra at your level will be saying haunters, and I'm like,
I do it as a joke now. I can tell my fucking kids, don't be ironic because you're just living that truth if you try to do it too much.
Wow.
So I've said haunters so many times now that I'm part of the
The
problem.
one I hate here internally is Rooster Teeth, one word.
Rooster Teeth. One word is that one annoys me too.
Yeah,
You're gonna see it written out.
Yep.
I guess so. Yeah,
You guess so.
I guess so. But I feel like there's a period of time where we were figuring that out.
Well, I think it's
Yeah,
like,
that period of time was 14 years ago when we figured it out.
Yeah, I don't think we figured out too much naming a company Rooster Teeth.
Now we suck.
A bad idea.
Rooster Teeth's a shitty name.
That one's on me, dude.
Achievement Hunter's a shittier name. That's on me. Fucking,
Well, Achievement Hunter's a bad name because the people that watch the shows can't spell the word. That's the problem.
they're just fucking dumb all the way around.
Do you look at the achievements for...
Achievement Haunter, dumb name.
You're doubling down on a
The only
dumb
reason
name.
that Haunter is a name is because nobody liked it. I said it as a joke, and then in the 11th hour, because we went through naming this thing, every name people came up with was taken because everything has to go through legal now. So they'd be like, oh, you can't call it that because there was a show in 1986 called that or whatever. Right. And so it was down to like Boo Boys or something.
God.
That was never going to happen. But there were some really like generic, bland names. And I was just like, I finally put my foot on. I'm like, we're just going to call it Haunter because we can call the show Haunter if it ever gets picked up for TV or whatever.
That was a big
We can drop the
discussion.
achievement thing.
The achievement
And
thing,
every other name sucks and is generic and bland. And until somebody can come up with a better name, that's just what we're going to call it. So eventually I wore them down.
You had a better name.
Huh?
You had a better name.
What was the better name?
The better name was Are You There, Ghost? It's Me, Jeff.
Are You There, Ghost? It's Me, Jeff is a great name.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
But it's too long. It's a mouthful.
I was like, I used to torture Jeff for a short period of time when Heroes and Halfwits was coming out. That it was also a show that's been forever being
Also a
named.
shitty name.
Forever fucking being named. And I would just send Jeff emails all day of just random names.
I think
I appreciated this.
The name Heroes and Halfwits, so the name I had suggested that became Heroes and Halfwits, I had suggested Halfwit Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it got rearranged to be more like blank and blank to
I
Heroes
liked
and Halfwits.
Chit Chat, but nobody knew what a chit was. So
Yeah. We sat in that fucking room for like 2 hours and filled a whiteboard with names.
I did that multiple times for Haunter before I finally just gave up. Yeah.
I think my two favorites
suck
that I
at naming
sent to
stuff.
Jeff were Dun Jeff and Dragus was one.
That was on the whiteboard, I think.
And the other was Orange is the New Chaotic Evil.
That was a good one. That was actually my favorite. I'm glad you remembered that one. That was my favorite out of all of them, but nobody would allow us to. Nobody else bit. I thought that was great. Orange is the New Chaotic Evil is great.
Names
I
are
also
just-
liked 1, 2, 3 Ghost, but nobody would let me have that one either.
1, 2, 3 Ghost is great,
good one.
dude. That's really good. How about Ready, Set, Ghost?
Yeah, I think we had On Your Mark, Get Set Ghost as well.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
On Your Mark, Get Set Ghost.
That could be a good tagline.
I think Trevor came up with that. So what I decided is that we would take all the hilarious of which there were many Haunter names that got rejected, and they would just be episode titles. But I don't know whatever happened to that.
Yeah. You can't go with your like running theme for titling stuff. You can't call it like Let's Paranormal Investigate. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Yeah.
Let's boo.
Let's bust.
Let's boo's good.
Let's boo.
Here, I'm going to read this thing.
Go for it.
I want to remind everyone this episode of Rooster Teeth Podcast is brought to you by...
Hey, can I just say, your sight reading is getting way better.
Why? Was it bad?
You're getting good. Yeah.
Was I bad at it?
I mean, only for the first, all the time I've known you.
No, fuck you.
How many ads do you re-record on a regular basis?
Almost never.
Oh, please. Patrick?
How often? I never have to re-record. 6 at the most.
The only time I have to re-record an
six
ad
a
is when
week?
it's
That's a
too
lot.
good and Rooster Teeth's a bunch of pussies that won't put my ads out.
Oh,
Cowards.
right. Forgot about that.
Jesus Christ.
Was that, like,
no
two or
no
3 weeks
balls
ago?
for teeth. That's what we should call ourselves.
What happened? What'd you do?
Every time I do a goddamn ad read, it's a work of art, and they re-fucking record it because they're cowards. No offense, Patrick.
You buckle?
I don't buckle. I walk away, and as soon as I leave, they have Jeremy re-record it. They
Sales
go,
department,
Hey, Jeremy, can you
they
re-record
wag their
that?
fingers at you?
Jeff's too edgy. He's too cool.
You're too cool?
Yeah.
Is that how does that feel?
That's
Also,
how-
why is he wearing blackface in this photo? Have you talked about
We've
that yet?
never talked about that.
Jeff did a Civil War recreation where he played a yellow fever victim.
I was a jaundiced man with yellow fever, but I was standing, and somebody,
When was this? Oh, I don't remember
it was an
this.
internal firestorm.
It was an internal firestorm. Here's what happened. On the set of Haunter, we were promoting it. Because, we filmed, I was figuring this out in the car. We filmed 9 episodes of Haunter thus far.
Right.
And
It's all in your
so
book.
we had filmed a bunch before they even came out. And so we were trying to figure out how to promote it ahead of time, yada, yada, yada. So we were sending out production stills via Twitter, and even though they stole my daughter's
BTS,
account.
they call it.
BTS stuff. And Jeremy posted one, I think it was Jeremy, of him in a Civil War soldier's outfit and me standing next to him as a jaundiced yellow fever soldier,
Right.
because I was one of 800 people who died in an unmarked grave in this town in Shreveport, Louisiana, because I had yellow fever.
Spoiler, in order to make a ghost show, you have to tell stories about the people that died.
Yeah. And some people in the company, and I don't know who to this day, nobody told me, were offended by the photo because they thought I was in blackface.
Right.
And I wasn't.
I don't know where they got the idea that would be the
And
case.
it became an internal firestorm. He's not wrong. That required a lot of meetings and an approvals process to releasing stills from, and which is why you don't see a lot of stills from Haunter episodes anymore. We just walked away from it. We don't want to. It's not worth the hassle. It was like 2 days of bullshit meetings, like bullshit Jeff and Bernie and Matt and Ezra meetings and stuff, to solve a problem that didn't exist because I was just playing a guy with yellow fever. But I guess something about the clothes, standing next to the Civil War guy, some people internally thought I was doing a Ted Danson, Whoopi
Yeah,
Goldberg.
I was gonna say, I never
blackface
heard
type
anything
thing.
about this.
Yeah, the audience didn't think so because they're not lunatics. But yeah, so it was a whole thing.
Spoiler: it was Bernie who started the pod internally.
It was. I'm writing my own book now.
Did you see that? I guess here
Chapter 2, Jeff's a racist.
in Texas, they're finally
Not
going to
though.
start teaching. In Texas schools, they're finally going to start teaching that slavery was a central cause to the Civil War.
I saw that. Yeah. Can you believe?
It's
2018.
amazing that people will argue that with me to this day. I was recently on that vacation that I was on. I was on a sailboat with somebody for like 2 weeks, and this person was, dude, warning flag, red flag, warning bell.
Does Ashley know? You're on a boat for 2 weeks?
She was there with me. She was learning
it
as
was
well.
like
She was
a-
learning to sail as well.
Like a hot threesome type thing, huh?
It's like 8 people on the boat. So
Oh, shit. It's
it's a
just
whole
straight up
scene,
orgy.
dude. It's a whole
Yeah,
scene,
all
dude.
right.
The
Wow.
but a warning flag for sure is when someone says they're not political. Like it's the same as when somebody says that they don't like drama. Just like slowly back away from
Yeah.
that person. Sure enough, this person who's not political and doesn't like talking about politics talked about politics the entire fucking time.
What
And
a
then-
great vacation!
And then one of the things they tried to convince me of was the fact that the Civil War was not about slavery. I forget what it is even about. It wasn't even like the states' rights
About
thing.
states' rights or land rights or something.
It was
bullshit.
something really fucking specific. And I can't remember what it was because I was just like,
About my great-great-grandfather and a lot of other people wanting to own people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Continue to.
Continue to own people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like he in particular was like really about didn't understand why. And the weird thing was not even from the US. This was really strange. He didn't understand why they were pulling down Confederate war hero statues around the South. Like that was in particular he was very upset about.
He's
As a
upset. He's not
particular
even
thing.
from the United States.
No, he's not.
What does he fucking care?
No,
You
I
know
know,
what,
right?
You know what
Yeah.
what they did that I understand that those things have historical significance. And I don't want to see them destroyed because of it. But what they did years and years ago, Gavin and I went to Budapest for a brand deal, or not a brand deal, but like a thing for a video game company, which is how we met our friend Linda. And I've been back to Budapest a few times because she's become a family friend. One of the things they did in Budapest that was really cool is they took all of the Soviet era statues and they put them in a field outside of town and said, if you want to go look at all this Cold War stuff, if you want to go look at all the pictures of Stalin and all that shit, it's over there. You just go to that field and check it out. There's a park that we just segregated it all to that area.
Yep.
I don't know why we can't do something like that.
Yeah,
To me, that's the walking that fine line between history and celebration.
Yeah, I'm more in the destroy it all camp. But if we're gonna keep it, I guess that's the way to do it. Like, I don't see why you would have statues celebrating people who were traitorous to the country you live in now.
Sure. But I don't think destroying a piece of history.
I mean, you're not destroying it; you're still teaching it.
I have to say this though too. It's only history because they were left up after the war. Every other war, they tear that shit down. Like we were celebrating them tearing down the Saddam Hussein one. Remember, that was the huge image.
You know, that's a great point.
And they were just left up as an appeasement kind of a thing. And then the Confederate flag was flown over state capitals and stuff like that. And it's Stars and Bars are a battle flag. Yeah. Right. I don't know. Somebody corrected me on that once. Anyway, it was definitely a nation that was fighting against the U.S. The flag was flown over that nation. It just seems like all that stuff should be left behind. It should have been left behind at the time.
Yeah.
The problem was it was left to stay. And I think because of that, that's why we had so many systemic problems for so long. Not that we've cured those either, but they were so ingrained, like segregation and things like that. They were official laws and everything. It was this like period of, hey, let's stop killing each other, bloodiest war ever for the U.S., and let's just go, come up with some kind of nice little middle ground. Sometimes you don't reach a middle ground. Sometimes you don't reach a compromise.
Yeah.
On some things. And that's one of the things I think you shouldn't be compromising on.
I agree.
Just so we're clear, I don't want anybody listening to this or watching this to think that I'm pro Confederate statues.
No.
I don't want. I hope it didn't come across that way.
You're very clear.
Yeah, I just don't. If people want to see it and be reminded of that horror and that mistake, then maybe they just
It's like over next to the town dump.
I'm gonna
over by the
have more
dump.
meetings this week because of you. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's not put it on.
You want to tweet a photo about it?
I'm so gun shy about stuff now. I feel like I have to over explain all the time. Yeah, I just think it's so easy to misconstrue things, and you say one thing, and a lot of times we're in a situation where we're talking. I guess maybe a little bit less for y'all, but I talk 4 to 6 hours a day in Achievement Hunter content and podcasts and stuff. And you a lot of times you'll go down a path and you'll start to explain something and you get distracted, but in your head you explained it. And then when it comes out, you're like, oh, I didn't explain my point very well. Or, oh, that's right, I got distracted before I could circle back around.
And then you go back and listen and you didn't say everything that was in your head.
Yeah. And so I live in that fear constantly that I don't know. It's a very reactionary world we live in right now.
It is. So what are you gonna do to get your daughter's Twitter account back?
Maybe you should build a statue for it.
I'm not gonna. I don't know. I mean, I filled out the form and I opened up 2 tickets, and that was months ago, and nothing happened. So I guess I'm not gonna call Bill Twitter, or whoever it is.
Nah, he's too busy.
I think I'm just
shit nobody wants.
What's your best name that you came up with for something? Because we have historically bad names, but Red versus Blue is a good name for a show. It's a good title for a show.
Says the guy who came up with the name.
No. Listen, my first movie was called The Schedule. That's terrible. I named the company Rooster Teeth. That was even worse.
I got one.
I'm not taking credit for having good names. That's my one shiny example.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
The best names I have are old names we used to use for like private communication and stuff, like internal email addresses, like the old dick fart vagina butt stuff. But the best, my AIM name, back when we used to have AIM, and we'd have to change it all the time because it would get out. My last big AIM name that I used was Delicious Boner.
Yeah.
And here's why it was an amazing name. Because you were in Virginia. Is that where your dad moved to when he got remarried?
North Carolina. Asheville.
You were in Asheville, North Carolina, visiting your dad and his new family that he liked more than you. And I'm assuming. And for Christmas. And you wanted to show your dad that you could video chat or audio chat through AIM so that he could talk to the boys from North Carolina or whatever.
Right.
And so you test called me. I was at the office, and you were there with your first wife, Jordan, and your dad and his wife. And I heard it connect, and I heard it on their end say, like a little AIM voice say, Delicious Boner has connected. And I heard your wife go, oh, gross. And you go, all right, thanks, Jeff, bye.
Yeah, one of the best things ever. And am I remembering this right? Didn't AIM have the ability to take over someone's computer?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest things ever. Whenever I established that with my dad, because my dad would constantly break his computer, and it was like just left it up enough to where I could like get in and like fix everything for him. You know, like if the printer didn't work or something like that. He was always fucking something.
Was it? Am I remembering this wrong? Was it your dad who installed Word every time he needed to use it?
That is correct. That's my dad.
True.
He had like 40 copies of Word, Microsoft Word installed. He ran the installation of Word every single time he went to run Word. And he I don't even know how he installed it in a different place every time.
Here's what's fucked up.
Very smart man. Very smart man. Just different era.
Way
Computers
smarter
were
than
nothing.
you. I've met the dude. He was awesome.
Yeah,
You're
how
gonna
smart can
be
it be?
that fucking stupid to JD and Teddy in some capacity. What is it though?
I don't
think
know.
about that a lot. Like, when do I get to the point where I'm just dumb? I'm old dumb.
It'll be like some kind of VR implant that I can't get because I'm too old.
Or it'll be like a social media thing, like
I thought it
struggling
was
to understand something new.
I thought it was Snapchat for me, but then I realized that it was just a fad and nobody used it anymore anyway. So I
thought it was
Dude,
Tumblr.
you're gonna catch so much shit for saying that. Every time I fucking say that Snapchat's on the decline, I
Nah.
get called
Snapchat's
an
dead.
old man. Yeah,
Snapchat's
it's yeah.
more than dead.
It's awful. It's like I took so much heat for that, for saying that Snapchat was on the decline. Just like when I said when the Xbox One was coming out, I was like, well, why does everyone care about physical media? Everyone's moving to digital anyway. People are like, you're full of shit. But when's the last time you bought a physical game?
Also, I think that the rumor is that the Xbox One, the rumor is that Microsoft's developing a diskless Xbox One to lower the
Awesome.
price and get it out.
Awesome.
So it just speaks to your point, like
Yeah.
like the lack of physical media. And they also are going to start. The other part of the rumor was that in order to convert your disc library, again, this is all rumors, totally unsubstantiated, that you at select retailers should be able to trade in your physical copy of a game for a key that you could redeem to then add a digital version of that game to your library, which is what I think they said originally when Don Matrick unveiled the Xbox One. But I'm not saying what they're doing was right. Just they messaged it in a super fucked up way. And they didn't address people's concerns.
I gotta say, I don't buy games physical media, but I just bought Infinity War on Blu-ray. I say just bought it. Bought it whenever it came out. And it comes with a code. So then I have it also on all my digital devices.
Yeah.
And it's like an extra $2 basically to have the disc as well. So I just bought it.
I did the same thing.
You know where I bought it? Line at the grocery store, dude.
Was it like an impulse buy, like next to the Snickers?
It was right there. It's like, fuck, I love Infinity War. Also, Gavin kept trying to convince me that Blu-rays look better than any streaming service, that the bit rate is higher for a Blu-ray disc. You're full of shit.
It's absolutely true.
It's 100% true.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. It looks amazing. I watched Game of Thrones on HBO streaming. There's a lot of blacks in that show because they're in dungeons and shit and castles where there's no lights. The backgrounds are mostly black on the interiors. It's so like a gradient behind people, and I'm just like,
or
I'm
there's
watching.
like a torch or a light source, and it's like that pulsing gray that's just like squares because of compression.
I recognize that that's a thing. I stream 100% of my stuff, and I've bought a few Blu-rays, and they definitely look better. But I'll just I have for instance, The Birds on Blu-ray. Like, that's one of the Blu-rays I have.
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah, like
Okay.
I have like 5 Blu-rays, and I bought some of my favorite movies. Birds one of my favorite movies. If I saw it was on TV streaming or just on cable or whatever, and I went to watch it, I wouldn't think, oh, I have this on Blu-ray, and it's just, if I just get up and walk over and find it in that drawer and then put it in, I can watch it slightly better. I go, it's good enough the way it is.
No, I agree
just
with
don't
that.
give enough of a shit about how much better something looks.
It's like graphics in video games. People always go apeshit for it, and then after 2 minutes, I don't even see it. You know what I mean? To me, it's like it's always been very much about the gameplay. That being said, you being the star of Red Dead 2,
I am the
recent big
star of Red Dead 2.
you will take pride in this. I play it on 2 TVs. I play it on my treadmill because the open world games I'll play on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And then I also play it on the big TV in the living room. And man, it's a world of difference, dude.
Is
that
it?
game is gorgeous. Played on a big screen. It
Sound like
is
Jack.
really amazing.
You're
You're gone, by the way.
Huh?
You're gone.
I bounce around.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bounce around.
You and
Sometimes-
Jack's characters are gone.
Sometimes I'm in Valentine, and then sometimes I'm in
That's what?
a bunch of other places. What's that?
That's why.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. Out of all the stuff we've done in 16 years, or almost 16 years now,
Almost
15 and a half
16,
years, that's the thing like that I'm inundated with people noticing. Like, I remember like every time we had that short that was on Tosh.0 for a while, and like every time that a rerun would air, we'd get hit like a couple times on social media and be like, oh, right, I forgot about that. Or people would see us on an MTV thing or whatever. But goddamn, I get probably 30 tweets a day sustained still that are people freaking out that were in Red Dead.
Yep.
And it's such a minor little character too. I mean, it was super awesome of them to put us in, but
No,
I'm
my,
just
my
amazed
kids
that
liked it a lot.
like anecdotally, that must be the best-selling video game of all time because I feel like if only people that tweet me bought it, there's still millions.
And then the most watched TV show is that To Catch a Predator episode where the guy's wearing a Rooster Teeth hoodie.
Jesus Christ!
I can talk about that for a second. So that was not. There's this Chris Hansen show, To Catch a Predator. Is that what it's called? Where they bait
I think it's
pedophiles to come, and then they have like a bait kid or whatever. It's like a cop who looks young, and they put him in there, or him or her. And one of them was wearing a Rooster Teeth shirt one time. First of all, I don't like when people send me photos of that because I don't like those shows. I don't want to be anything. I don't want to be involved with that. I don't want to celebrate that. I don't want to make an entertainment product based on pedophilia and people getting
under the guise of doing good, but it's really.
Also, are they arresting people? That just doesn't seem like a real thing. How can you arrest someone on TV?
Yeah.
Well, the cops are there right afterwards. They have like live PD and shows like that.
I know, but I don't know. I've always felt like that was like.
I mean, cops has been around for 30 years.
It still feels like
doesn't make it better.
It doesn't. Yeah. It's still.
Law enforcement shouldn't come with a network television camera behind it, you know? Anyway, but that's beside the point. People watch the show. They're popular. People watch them. And this kid was or this cop who was playing a kid was, or a young teenager was wearing a Rooster Teeth shirt. They didn't ask permission. To be fair, we wrote them and said, hey, please don't use any of our shirts ever again or any of our merchandise. And they said, no problem.
Oh, really? That's cool.
So they were like, absolutely no
I didn't
problem.
know we did that.
Didn't, I mean, anytime you look, we know this, every time you use a logo in something, you know, you have to black it out with a little piece of tape or something like that.
I assume that's why you can't see my fucking Diet Coke anymore. Because I read on Reddit the other day, somebody was like, is there some new policy at Rooster Teeth? I noticed they're hiding all the Diet Cokes from on the podcast now.
Patrick, are we doing that? I think they're just showing the merch.
Oh, we're just showing merch. Also, buy Diet Coke. It's delicious. That's not Diet Pepsi is the way to go.
Really? I feel like I just learned something about you.
Yeah, I've made the switch to Diet Pepsi earlier this year,
What are you, like
and
a
I will
hamster?
never go back.
Why?
Really? Gonna go to Diet RC next?
What's that?
Diet RC.
Oh, that's fucking gross. No, Diet Pepsi just tastes better than Diet Coke, and I have been drinking Diet Coke my entire life. Like, I grew up with a diabetic father, so we never had sugar in the house. And so I grew up, since I was in high school, drinking Diet Coke because that's all that was available to me. And then after you get used to it, regular Coke tastes like very sugary to me.
Yeah.
So I've been drinking Diet Coke my entire 30-something fucking years that I've been drinking soda. And the other day, like a year ago, I had a Diet Pepsi, and I thought, oh, this actually tastes pretty good. And so then I switched, and now I just drink Diet Pepsi when it's all available.
See, I grew
Fascinating story.
I grew up in a diabetic household as well, but the people in my house didn't understand what a carb was. They just didn't know what it was. It's like my dad, when he was doing low carb, he was eating stuff like popcorn and orange juice.
Oh, wow.
I know. And it's just like, Dad, what are you doing? And then he switched to cranberry juice. I'm like, you really don't get this.
Yeah.
Even to the point where right before he
people
died,
think juice is healthy.
like he didn't know milk had carbs in it. I'm like, just read the label's right fucking there. It's right there.
My dad was a juvenile diabetic, so he didn't have a choice. He'd fucking kick it real fast.
You take,
he was a type 1 diabetic.
like insulin shots and stuff like that?
3 a day. Yeah.
No shit, really.
Yeah.
Did you get that one of those pumps? Those seemed like they were amazing.
Those were later on.
Yeah.
He was a little old at that point. I don't talk about it a lot. These are actually quite painful memories, but yeah, there was like a period in my life, most of high school, where we went to the emergency room 3 nights a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, my dad. Well, he had a very, very delicate balance with his diabetes, and he was also had some addiction problems.
Oh, really?
So, like I would come home from school and be scared to walk in the house because I would be scared of what I'd see. And very often I'd come home and then my dad would just be laying in a pool of blood, and there'd be like broken furniture, and I'd have to call the paramedics. And like my dad died in my arms one time. I don't know. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
This is a depressing podcast. Yeah, he fucking died. I was holding him, and he died, and paramedics were able to bring him back to life. Yeah, it was just
Fucking
like
hell,
it was
dude.
like that constantly. Growing up.
So I hate to move to like a travel anecdote
Let's do
after
it.
that, but to lighten the mood a little bit, I told this story on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Was it you? Who was sitting next to me on the plane when the guy behind us died on the plane?
Wasn't me.
Do you remember this though?
No.
Oh my god!
Do you
okay.
remember this?
It wasn't me. Yeah, I heard
told-
the story,
I
but
can't, I'll tell you
it
afterwards.
wasn't
I can't
me.
tell on the podcast again because people freak out if I tell the same story twice
Somebody died?
in a 1 month period.
He came back. Don't worry.
The paramedics bring him back?
I'll tell the story again in another 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So that's the rotation now. We go 2 years between telling the same story 3 times.
yeah,
Yeah,
but-
the guy passed out. Like doctor came up and everything, and the guy was dead, and then he was okay.
Oh.
Nobody did anything.
Walked
he was
off the
just
plane.
okay. Yeah. Walked off the plane, didn't even get met by medical professionals or anything. Just died and then didn't.
Hey,
Decided,
want to remind everyone this episode of the Rooster Teeth podcast is also brought to you by Postmates. And only fast things that deliver are not what I want. You screwed with me. You got in my head. And now you get your favorite beverages and meals delivered to your door. And you got in my head.
I feel like you didn't punch
$100?
fast in the way they wanted you to.
Fast.
There you go. So
Up and at them.
Here's a great idea for future ad reads for Postmates. Get a Postmates person to come here, deliver something, and then they have to read the ad.
that's a great idea. Here's why it's great knowing people for most of your adult life. I fully insulted you in the first read, knowing that it would affect your second read, and I'm so happy that paid off.
Yeah.
I guess we're up to 7 ad reads now.
That was
being
so.
No, it was fine.
That did
I
my
did it.
heart
I
good
saved it.
to know that I can still fuck with you after all these years. Oh, it's great.
Let me ask you this. Did you start the ad read going, I can't fuck this up?
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
You got in your own head, dude.
Yep. Start thinking about it.
We all it's the thing I love about Rooster Teeth. It's like the Howard Stern show. We all know. We know the buttons to push, the little
Dude,
triggers.
yeah, the people-
M. Lewis 8384 in chat is saying it was Miles.
Miles was on the plane with me? What am I doing flying with
Why are you
Miles?
flying with Miles?
I'm going to tell this. I'm going to tell Miles he's not allowed to tell
It was
people
Miles
he
and
flew with
Carrie, according to Christoph War.
me. Get the fuck out of here. Miles. Okay. Where are we going? Where was it going?
You must have drew some short ass straw.
That probably would have been RVB days. Maybe some early Ruby stuff.
Pax or some shit. I
I'll say
don't know.
Miles.
It wasn't that long ago. It was like 2 years ago.
What's that?
It wasn't that long ago that it happened. It was like 2 years ago.
Was it? I don't know. I think you're going for my repeated stories after 2 years thing.
I'm in my own head.
Yeah, guys, you're off your game tonight, man. Jeff showed up and got in your head.
Did you hear? I saw a story in the New York Times today that kind of disturbed me. There's this guy in Texas. I forget where. I think I want to say it was like Ector County, Texas, or something, where he was already in prison and he just started confessing to murders. And they think he might be the most prolific serial killer ever in the United States. That he may have murdered up to 90 people.
On the border? Was he the guy that was killing women on the border a couple years ago?
I think this was somewhere else. And they're just like, I guess they had already convicted him. He'd been in prison for a while. And he's old now. He's like 78 or something. And he's just like telling all these stories. And law enforcement's talking to him and connecting the dots and saying like, yeah, he knows shit that wasn't released about these cases.
No shit.
Mm-hmm. So
That's crazy.
They think they might have in custody like the most prolific serial killer of all time that they know of at 90 people, which makes me think that's a lot of fucking people to have like unsolved murders for, all connected to by one person.
I don't think they ever want to talk about how many people go unsolved. Dude, did you hear about the guy in Alabama who there was a shooting, I want to say at a mall, shot and injured, and then this guy was a licensed handgun carrier, pulled his gun out, cop walked up to him, and according to reports, what I read, shot him within milliseconds. He's a black guy, licensed handgun owner, pulled his gun out. He's the hero that the NRA always talks about.
This also happened in Chicago. That was with security at a nightclub.
Yeah,
like the week before, 2 weeks before.
Yeah, they shot the security guard he was working an extra job to make money for his kid for Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, the Alabama one's egregious as well.
Wasn't there a dude in Minnesota that was pulled over, same kind of thing? He told the cop, "I have a gun in the car."
Mm-hmm.
You know what's the worst part is I read about that on a plane coming back from Amsterdam. I was just in Amsterdam. I was did a little vacation for Thanksgiving.
Did you go to the Anne Frank house?
I didn't go back to the Anne Frank Museum. Once was enough. Sitting outside,
early days of entertainment, man. We were making it big. We were wild.
Out of the Anne Frank Museum, crying.
We went to Netherlands and went to the Anne Frank house.
It was the first thing we did.
It
was the first thing we did. You, Gavin, and I, we landed and went to the Anne Frank Museum, and I sat outside on a bench and I cried for 20 minutes while school kids were running around laughing. And I'm like, you don't laugh, you don't know.
Yeah, he got sad, and then he got mad at all the Euro teens for texting.
I did. I was like, this is serious. Pay attention. I was reading about that, and I was on the plane. It was like, didn't have anything else to do.
Which one, the Alabama one or the
Alabama one? I was on the plane back from the Netherlands. Which, by the way, British Airways has streaming Wi-Fi now. Like, you can pay extra to have Wi-Fi that's fast enough to stream. American Airlines does not. American Airlines Wi-Fi on a plane fucking sucks.
They're getting there, though.
They're getting there. They switched over from go in-flight to A in-flight.
We covered it.
Oh, did you? I was furious about, they're like, are they phasing go out? Because they're not being clear about it.
They're not being clear about it. And some flights have it and some flights don't. And you never know. Yeah, well, BA has one that's also good. That's better. But so anytime I see these things, and when I just like to look at like I go and I look at like what they say on the comments in Huffington Post, and I look at what they say on Breitbart, and I just go like a couple different websites that I go back and forth on just to get both sides, because it's entertaining. It's like watching a train wreck, kind of, watching like highly partisan people and their opinions on stuff. So I was reading on Breitbart right after they found out that it wasn't that they shot a good guy with a gun, right? And wow, I thought maybe there'd be people going like, oh, that's unfortunate. Maybe we fucked up. Maybe we jumped the gun. It was just a bunch of people saying, yeah, well, he's black anyway.
It's fucking crazy.
It's 2018, and it's a fucking major news, and the comments are just full of people going like, yeah, Birmingham's too dark anyway. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
It's really fucking nuts.
It's disgusting.
It's really nuts. And we were talking earlier about the Confederate war hero statues and stuff like that. It's like leaving that stuff in place it contributes to that environment where people can make comments like that and feel safe making comments like that, or comfortable, I guess is the right word to say. Unfucking believable. And to me, it's like, I know the NRA is not going to say anything about this.
No.
But here's a license. This is
their best case scenario the narrative they push all the time.
This is your guy.
The good guy with the gun.
Right. He's the good guy with the gun who's gonna solve the problem of other people with guns.
Hasn't there been an example of a good guy? To be fair, wasn't that situation, the school shooting in Texas that was about 2 hours east of here, wasn't that solved by a good guy with a gun?
You know what? Ever since I
think that there was an example of where that actually worked.
I always sent some examples because I said one time on a podcast that you never hear about it. Like, you never hear about the good guy with the gun. It's just not happening. Because here's a couple instances where it happened. So ever since then, I've been kind of looking out for them, and you
gotta try to be fair.
You do see it, yeah. And I have to admit, I was probably a little bit blind to it before,
yeah.
But it's like still, it's just we talk about gun control from time to time on this. I have a gun, I own a gun. I live in Texas. I have guns in my home, but at the same time, it's like if we could reach a point where we could limit the amount of guns and access to guns. I just feel like we don't need the bad guy with the gun and the good guy with the gun, Yeah. And then a cop with a gun who shows up, kills the good guy. And then the worst part about this article that I read, besides the fact that the cop shot him within milliseconds, which is just like, what's the judgment call being made there?
Yeah.
Is that the end of it was, and they killed him, and they thought he was the perpetrator, but it turned out later they released a statement saying he wasn't the perpetrator. He was a citizen trying to help out who had a gun and was shot. And they're still looking for the perpetrator who's still at large. It's
and then didn't they also say like, oh, and by the way, we found weed at the guy's house?
They also
that was another one. Wasn't
they also that was Dallas.
We can't keep them straight.
They also never contacted that guy's family to let them know they killed. Their family had to find it on social media.
Holy shit.
As of yesterday, when I watched the news report on CNN last night, they still hadn't reached out to that family and apologized or said, hey, this is what happened. They just had been zero contact with the family, which I find to be unforgivable among all of us. And no matter where you land on the side of the gun debate, that's just crazy to me.
What happened to the cop who went into the guy's apartment and killed him in his own apartment?
The one in Dallas?
Yeah, is it Dallas? Yeah.
That's where they found weed. They found weed.
And you were thinking Sutherland Springs as the good guy with the gun.
Yeah. It was the good guy with the gun.
What was the guy he was a driver, got pulled over, was killed. I want to say it was in Wisconsin or Minnesota.
It was Minnesota, I think.
Was it Minnesota? And he identified himself to people, said, hey, I'm a licensed handgun owner and I have a handgun in the car. And then it's all recorded, and the cop got scared and shot him.
Yeah.
When he's even dying on audio saying, like, why did you shoot me?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? He's following all the rules. Nobody said anything about it. There wasn't like a Second Amendment meltdown, not protests in the streets over it.
I mean, I wouldn't dude, in this climate, I wouldn't want to be a cop that has to stop anybody and roll up. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it would be a very scary time to be a police officer in America right now. Also, I think a very scary time to be anybody other than white in America right now and getting pulled over as well,
Because there's guns everywhere.
Right. And they still encounter dangerous situations. I saw like dash cam footage from this cop car, I want to say it was in Arkansas, where this guy like pulls someone over as a traffic stop and the driver comes out, shooting. And, the officer retreats and the driver's advancing on him, like trying to kill him. And the officer survives. The officer's fine. But it's like there are people out there who are going to do that to you.
Absolutely.
So you're in fear for your life as well.
No, I would just say that's why I definitely don't fall in the category that all cops are good or evil. Everybody is flawed in their own way, but I just can't imagine having, like, given the current climate of our country and the hyperpartisanship, being a person in an authoritative role, having to navigate those situations on a daily. It must be the most stressful thing in the world to be a police officer right now, and it should be. It's a stressful job, but like. I just like where every action is scrutinized, and you're literally taking your life in your hand every day. And in every routine traffic stop or whatever, not only are you worried about your safety, but you've probably got to be worried about your career, as you should be as well. But it just seems like a super. I can't imagine what it's like to get up and put that uniform on every day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And I'm assuming, too, that within these moments, these individual moments, that the person's actually scared for their life in that moment.
I would assume so.
I would assume so as well. And then it's like, and then they got to live with that. But still, at the same time, it's like,
I can't imagine.
If a normal citizen walked into someone else's apartment and shot him, I know what happened to this police officer? She was dismissed and she's been brought up on charges, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't remember.
Maybe we won't hear about it for a long time. I'll look it up.
It fucking sucks. It all fucking sucks.
The thing, the problem is, like, even talking about this incident, like the one that happened in Dallas with the apartment mix-up.
No, it was a mix-up.
Alleged mix-up.
The cop went in the wrong fucking apartment.
Well, there's also speculation that they knew each other and there was shouting beforehand.
I
and
didn't
that the
hear
mix-up
any of
was.
She was on the wrong floor.
She was on the wrong floor. We walked into somebody else's apartment.
Yeah.
Is that there's so many things that happen. It's like you don't have time to spend on any one thing because there's always something new. It's like it's the era that we live in now, not just from violent acts or gun violence, but also just like anything at all on the political spectrum. It's just like people are screaming mad about this, and then they're off to the next thing next day, the next fucking day.
We're
read a headline today that Ukraine is like preparing to be invaded by Russia.
We're so focused on our problems, which are huge, right? We're shooting tear gas at people across the border and everything. That's like Russia seized 3 Ukrainian warships, and Ukraine has declared martial law because they've said Russia is preparing to invade and hold a ground war.
What will happen if Russia invades Ukraine?
Nothing. They took fucking Crimea and nothing happened.
What's going to happen? Trump will say, thanks, Russia, for the cheaper gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I heard.
Can you believe that motherfucker? Sorry.
That was some
the audience hates when we get political, and here we are. But to literally be so tone deaf to say, hey, he did or he didn't kill Khashoggi, but
we still support him.
But thanks for literally thank you, Saudi Arabia, for the cheap gas prices.
Yeah, all new low, record low. Yeah.
Depressing time.
I think once we start having
my divorce is the least depressing thing I've got going on in my life right now.
Is it really?
No, but every time you look at the news, it's fucking brutal.
Isn't it? Once we get to the point though where there's wars and invasions in Eastern Europe and Asia, is it okay to talk about politics then? I mean, is that like now? Is it okay to talk about? I mean, it's we're all on this moving train together.
I just know the lambasting we get on off topic if we ever encroach. Like if we spend a minute talking about politics on off topic, then it was the entire podcast was unlistenable. And it was like we ruined it.
I get it. Well, to be fair, we don't really talk about politics at all on this podcast, but then you showed up, so we felt obligated to talk about it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you.
It's all Jeff's fault. See what happens when you invite Jeff on the podcast?
See, this was your doing. Where am I? Where's my camera? There. It's your fault.
You didn't know where your camera was?
They were on the jib, I think. Were we on the jib? I didn't see a light.
I don't know. I guess just we don't hang out much, the three of us. So.
No, you're busy writing that book. So.
Whatever happened to our...
I am writing a book.
Whatever happened to our lunch meetings?
They always get rescheduled.
They're coming back. They're coming back.
Are they?
Believe it or not, Jeff's the weak link in that.
I accept that.
Is it your fault?
I messed up November. That was my fault.
I'm a busy boy. I travel a lot.
We had one.
I went to Europe twice in the last 2 weeks.
Fucking brag about it.
What was work, dude? I'm not bragging about it. It's just the job.
Jeff's an influencer. She's on the go. You call yourself an influencer?
I saw people being sued. Who was it? Snapchat was suing an influencer because they weren't promoting spectacles enough, and Samsung was suing a brand ambassador for using an iPhone in public.
Yeah. I mean, if you sign, I think
Samsung was suing the iPhone user for $1.6 million, and I don't remember how much Snapchat was suing their influencer for, but maybe Snapchat will make some money finally if they win that judgment. Well, they were the influencer was paid $45,000 upfront in a deal worth $60,000 for 4 Instagram posts.
I'm like the least effective influencer ever. Because I don't ever get brand deals. Nobody contacts me. And now it's all micro influencers, right? They only want people with like less than 20,000 followers on social. That's like
never heard of that.
Yeah.
What is that?
Micro
Really?
influencers, yeah.
Well, they probably have honestly, they probably have dedicated people that follow them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you get one of these accounts that's got like 2 million people following it. Then it's like, how much of those are fucking bots or people that used to follow the account?
So, yeah.
You know? Did you read about the kerfuffle with Gal Gadot?
No.
I don't know the name. Can somebody tell me how to pronounce the name of this cell phone company? She had a deal with a cell phone company to talk about like how good the cell phones were, and she was called out for making the tweet on an iPhone, which is like
How is that still happening? How is that still a thing?
I don't know.
She's so awesome though.
Wait, Huawei? Huawei?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think the United States is calling for other countries to start limiting their use of that
Boycotting
technology.
them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like after ZTE, now they're the new supposed bad guy.
Really? They put the chip in?
Mm-hmm.
They got the chip?
They got the chip.
That takes
They
everything?
don't have the dip. They just got the chip.
So, oh, yeah. It's, here it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, she got called out because, she's via Twitter for iPhone, which is marked it on there. It's like those kind of blunders are just, people should be beyond those at this point. Especially, I can't imagine what she got paid to do that.
I can't imagine that Gal Gadot tweeted anything.
No. She had somebody who was running her Twitter account that did it. Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
And those people are funny too.
Huawei?
Like social media people in general.
Thanks,
I looked
Patrick.
over, our social media person is gone. Social media people are like the highest incident of getting fired because of something stupid they post on social media. Like they'll like tweet something shitty on a plane and then they lose their connectivity, they land and then they're fired, you know? Yeah. And I always wonder, how do you not know? How do you not know that social media is a powerful platform and you're gonna get fucked over for making the stupid fucking tweet or whatever?
It's a great question.
Or Snap. You got a Snapchat account?
Yeah, I haven't even logged into it in months, probably.
I've got it. I moved to Instagram.
Yeah, but see,
I don't even use Twitter anymore. I use Instagram pretty much.
You had to go like Tinder and Snap. You gotta get all the single stuff, right? I knew Jeff was single. I called him on this because he tweeted at me or he texted me one day and
With
he used
emoji?
a fucking emoji in it. I'm like, are you using emojis now? And I knew it was because he was single. You gotta use emojis.
I just heard this conversation on the Howard Stern show. He was talking about how effeminate emojis are, and everybody that was younger was disagreeing with him. Well, I think that's weird to me, and I love Howard, but he uses the word effeminate like it's an insult, and I don't get why. But
it's almost like it's an old school thing, right? That's what he's saying. It's like,
but it is like it's funny to see the edges of that dude's age around social stuff, and how he was like up in arms about emojis. Who gives a fuck?
Well, I mean, we discussed toxic masculinity today.
Yeah,
that was just the world we all grew up in, you know? I mean, it was just it was horrible. It was horrible. It's like, and just to be clear too, like a lot of people, like when you say toxic masculinity, there's a lot of males that suffered under toxic masculinity. I don't know any of my female friends who got punched in the face 5 different times.
Yeah,
by people they didn't know. I got punched in the face on a regular basis.
I got my ass kicked.
Remember when that guy wanted to fight us on 4th Street? We were walking from the draft house to like Fado or something. You remember that? And like the guy behind, we were walking down 4th Street to go to Fado, and the guy, like I was at the back of the group, guy comes up behind me and goes, "What's wrong with you, faggot?" And I go, "What? Are you talking to me?" He was like, "Yeah, what are you looking at?" Like, "Well, you're yelling at me." And then like he wanted to fight all of us right there. It was us 3 and Matt. And maybe Jason was there.
I remember you getting singled out for something at one point.
Yeah, and then like his friends came and grabbed him and were like, "Oh, sorry, he's just having a bad night." And I was like, "Okay, I'm just walking down the fucking street."
I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but if you're a dude on Dirty 6th, which is the area of 6th Street where it's like the tourist trap, it's like our Bourbon Street for people that aren't in Austin. At 2 a.m. when the bars let out, you've got a 30% chance of getting into a fight, whether you want to or not. Just because it's just dudes that didn't like pick up a girl.
Yep.
Who are mad and drunk and want to fight. Dudes suck.
Yeah. I should be clear, subset of dudes really suck.
A subset of dudes really suck.
And it's like,
and I grew up with all those dudes.
Yeah, well, it feels like you just want to like take that percentage, whatever it is of dudes, and say, hey, thanks for getting us through evolution to the like killing the saber-toothed tigers and everything. Yeah. You guys are just we're tiring you.
Take it down enough.
We're done with that. Yeah.
We're gonna bench you guys for a while.
We got a society now.
Yeah.
Let's be nice.
Hard to find those guys because all the girls are fucking them now.
Jesus.
Sorry, I'm like 10% incel.
So Jeff, what's the name of your book again?
How long has it been since I've done this show with you?
You were here like
a year ago. A year ago.
What did I do? I did do one like 6 months ago, didn't I? Yeah. Not too bad.
Yeah.
It's good for once a year or so.
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
There's 12 months in a year.
That's my mandate. Twice a year.
Kept up with that. So,
Then he goes to 6th Street and gets in a fight.
So you were talking about going to Amsterdam. I was at the. I went to see a movie the other day, and I saw a trailer for an upcoming Van Gogh biopic where Willem Dafoe plays Van Gogh.
It seems like a perfect.
It was like At Eternity's Gate or something like that.
I did go to the Van Gogh Museum.
It looked. The trailer looked really good.
So we kind of talked a couple of weeks ago. God, this is like super political podcast. We talked a couple of weeks ago about cultural appropriation, specifically with white actors playing, whatever. And then later in that conversation, we actually talked about them converting Domino to a character that an African American actress could play, and that was, the audience called me out on that for not calling you out on that. Because we were talking about that. We were talking about like Scarlett Johansson playing.
Oh, she was going to play the trans person.
Yeah, no, she was going to do that, but then she played. It was in Ghost.
She was in Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, she played the main character.
People were upset about that.
People should just be upset that movie sucked.
I got irked about this Van Gogh thing because I read about it. I had it in my notes for a while, but I didn't bring it up because Willem Dafoe was. They said he shouldn't be allowed to play this part because he's far too old to play Van Gogh. At that point, it's like it's Willem Dafoe. He's a phenomenal actor. He can't play someone younger than himself now. I mean, where are the lines on that?
How old was Van Gogh when he died?
Isn't that one of the things?
That old.
It's gonna be something we're gonna see in our lifetime.
37.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear in our lifetime, maybe very soon, that someone gets called out, an actor or actress gets called out because they gained weight to play a part, which is now like a thing that they do. Like Mac on Always Sunny is now super.
Or look at Christian Bale.
Christian Bale in the fucking Big Short. Right?
Christian Bale's who I always think
film
about.
He does.
Yeah, Robert De Niro used to be that way too. But I wouldn't be surprised if we hear like they get called out because they should have given the part to a heavier actor,
right?
Instead of this person going out.
I do.
Well, you can change your weight. You can't change your heritage.
I know, but I'm saying,
Rachel Dolezal.
What I'm saying is that what becomes a defensible culture is expanding.
Yes. I agree.
You don't agree with that? I mean, it's even politics are a defensible culture now.
Awareness of those issues is expanding, and sensitivity to those issues is expanding.
Right. I feel like Megyn Kelly already litigated this and took care of it very recently.
We're all going to be replaced by.
Which is not.
Okay?
We're all going to be replaced by digital copies anyway. This fucking Lion King trailer that came out, they call it live action.
Lion King.
Live action, but yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time before there are digital stars.
Well, we saw, remember, the dancing video. Didn't we talk about that a couple months ago? Did I tell you about that?
Yep.
Where it's like there's software that can be used to like take a photo of you and make you dance. Like it looks fairly photorealistic, where it looks like you take a person and you make them move in like these great dance moves. You're just mapping like their structure onto an actual dancer. It's like the same thing. Like, we're just like a further step away from not needing the mocap data and just being able to program
they take somebody's face, like Obama, and then they just put someone in little dots on their face mapping, and they start talking, and it maps the animation and the movement to Obama's face. So you make him basically say whatever the hell you want to.
Speaking of dancing and mocap, this is off target a little bit, but did you guys see that video somebody posted on line the other day of Monty dancing, playing DDR?
Oh, yeah, no, Pump It Up.
Pump It Up.
Yeah.
That was great. I forgot how much that dude loved that shit.
Pump It Up.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I gave him that banner from the first RTX. That wasn't the Monty Ohm experience.
It made me. I got the biggest smile. I watched that video like 4 times over and over again. It was so great to see that. I forgot how into that he was.
Yeah.
You know who else is a big DDR fan?
You.
No, me. No way. Meg Turney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
She has a dedicated DDR machine. In her house.
I guess I knew that. You're right. Yeah.
I'm not assuming she's a fan.
Just ended up with it somehow. Here, I'm going to read this other thing. I want to remind everyone, this episode of Receipt Podcast is also brought to you by grab some eye-catching leggings so you can lounge around with a cup. No, there's a typo. It says with a up. You can lounge around with a cup of spiked eggnog. They even sell bright and crazy ski suits for when you're shredding some gear this holiday.
Shredding some gnar
this holiday season. Fire whoever wrote that. Drink some up. Drink a up of eggnog.
Patrick, fire up re-record number 8.
Yeah.
No, we're going with that.
Did I adequately promote Achievement Hunter? I want to make sure I don't get yelled at afterwards.
When does Achievement Hunter come out, Jeff?
I think it's on Wednesdays.
You think?
Yeah, it's on Wednesdays. It comes out on Wednesdays, and season 1 is about halfway over, and you have to be a first member. So sign up for first, or I will never make. Listen, it's an expensive show to make. Here's my plea to the audience.
Yeah,
it costs like I don't know if we can say how many millions of dollars to make this show for 2 episodes. $116 million it cost to make those 16 episodes. And I don't get to make any more if you guys don't sign up for first. So please do. And maybe we see some ghosts. Maybe we don't. Maybe Jeremy got touched by a ghost. He did. You saw that episode. It already came out.
Yeah, he got scratched.
We this episode coming up, we try to summon Satan. I'll say that.
Do you really?
First ever seance. Yeah. And we use a Ouija board for the first time.
So is there any like part of you left that's a little bit religious where you feel like even saying those words is like an incantation or something is a bad idea?
No. In that respect, no. If I watch the movie The Exorcist, yes. That's the only thing that gets me scared. Religious horror movies, religious horror scares me. But in those situations, like, I think it's a holdover from when I was a photographer in the Army. Like, something about when you put the lens up, nothing else exists, and you feel fearless. Like, it didn't matter. No matter what I was doing in the Army, if I had a camera lens, I wasn't scared. Yeah. And something about, like, if I know there's a crew and we're spending the money that I asked Rooster Teeth for to make the show, I'm kind of like, a lot of fear subsides.
Gotcha.
It also, I'll be honest with you, I am the big believer on the show, and I have believed in ghosts my entire life, and had my own experiences. The show
you explain that?
My ghost
because you say this in the intro for the show. But
I don't know if I've ever told that story. I can. Yeah, I'll tell it in a second. I haven't been holding on to it for anything. Yeah, I saw a ghost when I was a kid, and I'll explain that in a second. But my faith in ghosts is a little bit shaken.
He took pictures of me in front of wood panel.
Yeah.
I was wearing a Rooster Teeth shirt when I met him.
The lovely old man in my neighborhood. Now, when I was a kid, I lived in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, and my parents had taken me to the movies. I remember it being the Lone Ranger, but I might be wrong about that.
How fucking old are you?
Jesus,
okay, go ahead.
Really?
Well, it's been like 82 or something. When did the Lone Ranger come out?
1957.
Yeah, I can't picture that being in color.
80s old Lone Ranger.
Was it like on Saturdays when you played a nickel to get in? That
Lone
Tarzan?
Ranger. Are you talking about the Legend of the Lone Ranger?
What year did that come out?
1981.
Yes. So it was
I've
maybe
never
that
heard of
year.
this film. There's an actor named Michael Horse in the Legend of the Lone Ranger.
Did he play silver?
Michael Horse plays Tonto.
So it was that the timeline is a little wonky because I remember it being that movie, but I also remember being about 8. So maybe it was something in 83. But I was living in Florida at the time in Jacksonville, and my parents took me out my mom and my stepdad took me out to the theater to see a movie, and we came home and we lived in this house on the St. John's Bay where you walked in. It was a super 70s design where like it had like a sunken-in living room, right? You know what I'm talking about? You like take a step down the living room. But you walked into the house and there was just a wall. And then to the left were the bedrooms and to the right was the kitchen. And then right past the wall were 2 open doorways and you'd walk into the sunken-in living room. Right?
Got you.
So I walked in the house. My parents took a right to go into the kitchen to get coffee or whatever the fuck they were doing.
You're gonna make out.
Maybe they were finger banging or something. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing. I was a kid. But I was going to go to my bedroom. I went the other way, and I think it was probably like, my mom was probably like, Jeffrey, get ready for bed. It's 9 p.m., and you're like, ooh. And I looked over.
Did you ever agree to anything the first time your mom asked, ever?
No,
an only child. Does that ever happen?
I was a prick as a kid. And I looked over to the right, and there was a lady in the living room sitting on a lazy boy, like on the arm of a chair. And she was sitting on the chair like this with her hands in her lap. And I can tell you now that she was Indian or Pakistani. She had like the gear on, like a hijab or whatever it's called, or an abaya is what they called it in Kuwait. And she had like a dot, and she was had like this ornate outfit.
Indeed.
And it's weird to say Indian because I think I said I just saw the Lone Ranger. I don't think it was the Lone Ranger, but she wasn't an American Indian. She was like
she wasn't a Native American.
Indian. Yeah, she wasn't a Native American. And
sounds like Gus just made fun of American.
And I had never seen an Indian person before, so I didn't know how to articulate that for years, and it wasn't until years later. Yeah, at like 6 or 7 or 8. Yeah, I guess I hadn't. Growing up in Florida,
between Alabama and Florida.
Yeah, so I didn't understand what I was seeing. She just dressed very oddly to me, and I saw her, and I went, oh. So I walked into the room, and I got about 10 feet from her, and I said, "Hi, are you looking for my parents? They're in the kitchen." And she just stared at me, and I stared at her for a second, and I just got this I felt like the room got cold, and I got this intense feeling of dread. And she just kept staring at me, like she was looking through me. I remember that, and I remember getting really scared. And I said, "Do you want my parents?" And she just kept looking at me, and I started to feel menaced. Would be the only way I can describe it. Like I
Yeah.
felt like I was in danger, and I screamed, "Mom, Dad!" And she just kept looking at me. And I turned around and I ran into the kitchen and grabbed my mom and brought them back, and she was gone. And
That's an extended experience.
Yeah.
Then like something out of the corner of your eye.
no, I confronted her, and I was eye to eye with her, and yeah, and that was
Did you ever look into it further when you were
I would
older?
never
Like,
sleep again.
yeah,
ever.
was anybody like? Did anybody die there before?
It was a house we were renting. We moved not like maybe 6 months after that or a year after that to another neighborhood. I wouldn't even know. I remember rudimentarily where it is. Maybe my mom could tell me the address, and I could go look into it. But yeah, I don't know. It was a fairly old house. It must have been. I don't know how old it was. This was 1982 or 83. And it had been around for a while. We definitely weren't the first people to live there. The thing that was just odd to me was I had the hardest time articulating to my mom what she was wearing because I didn't understand it, because I'd never seen a person in like whatever that outfit is.
Like a sari or something?
Yeah. And and then like she wasn't in the yard. She wasn't she didn't go through a door. The door was still locked when my parents came in and shut the door. And I ran right by the front door. It was a span of seconds. We came back. I never saw her again. I don't remember experiencing anything else weird about that. Although I will say my mom doesn't remember the experience. I've talked to her about it a couple times, and she's like vaguely, like maybe, but she's not sure. But yeah, that was fucking super scary, and that stuck with me my entire life. I remember it like it was yesterday. That moment. Yeah, and I can only chalk it up to her just by the irrational fear I felt and the fact that she was gone. I don't think that there was an Indian lady living in our closets, and I just caught her out. I think she was a ghost.
So you know what you do? You got to do an episode of Achievement Hunter at that house.
If I could find it, yeah.
Yeah, get your
You
mom
can find it, yeah.
If
It can be torn down. Jeff's fucking old.
Yeah.
I'm not as old as you.
It's not the Lone Ranger.
I'm barely older than you.
All the
and I
houses-
just lost like 15 years because I shaved that beard.
All
So
the
I'm young.
houses. You look good. You look
Thanks.
good. Whatever you're doing is working well.
I'm doing the same thing you are, doing keto.
Doing keto.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just
Been doing it for about
no
a month.
carbs.
Yeah, no carbs, no sugar.
I do a stupid thing though.
I've lost a ton of weight.
I do a thing I wouldn't recommend, but works really well for me. Is I do keto, but I also do this fasting thing where I only eat 4 hours a day.
I was going to ask you,
Fucking love that.
What's the deal with the intermittent fasting?
I
That's
just
what you
eat
call
4
it,
hours a
right?
day. That's it. I gotta get to like 2,000 calories in 4 hours.
500 calories an hour.
I pretty much do 1,800 calories in like one
What
meal.
is the benefit of that?
Okay, so they did a study. They took mice.
Okay.
3 groups of mice. Ready?
3 blind mice?
Mice. Took mice. And they said, give them group of mice, give them food, all the food they want to eat, go crazy. Just like that's how I usually eat. Just all day long.
I've seen you.
Fucking gorge myself.
Face down.
Yeah.
Yeah, open a bag of chips and go all the way to the bottom. Then the other ones, they did calorie restriction. Calories in, calories out. They said, give them a restricted diet of calories. Because reduced calories is historically the thing that gives you the greatest longevity and everything. Then the other group of mice, third group of mice, said, give them as much food as they want to eat. They can only eat an hour a day. That's it. They can eat, gorge themselves fully for that hour.
Like a lion.
Like a lion, or like people who would hunt, and they would do that. They even say that for intermittent fasting, some people really prescribe to the notion that you should start eating at sunset. That's like when you should time coming off your fast to do it. And it's one of those things too. It's a lot of religious doctrine for like the practical doctrine that people live day in and day out. A lot of that had to do with health and nutrition. A lot of it, like keeping kosher and things like that. Yeah. Those are really nutrition rules, right? And fasting has always been a big part of religious experience. Anyway, these 3 mice, the fasting mice lived longer, far longer than either of the 2 other groups. They fully expected, of course, the mice were eating 24 hours a day as much as they want. They knew those fuckers were going to die. Then the calorie in, calorie out guys, they thought, okay, this is the group that's probably, we expect to live longer, but the fasting ones did the best. I also watched a video from Terry Crews. Terry Crews says he does that. And at my age, and I think Terry Crews is about my age, maybe a little bit older. It's like anything that's like fitness wise, it's like it gets like this downward slope of hell as you get older. And especially for dudes, I think,
Well, if Terry Crews is doing it, I mean,
if Terry Crews is doing it, so I thought, So I watched his short little video by Terry Crews on YouTube where he's interviewed and he talked about it. And I thought, I'll give it a shot. And it works well for me because I deal real well with do this or don't do this. What I don't deal well with, and you guys know this knowing me so long, I don't deal well with moderation.
No, you
I
don't.
got no filter for fucking moderation. If you told me I could eat 1 potato chip a day and like that's it, I would eat 12, in the first 2 seconds. And then I'd eat the entire bag. It's like slowly but surely I would do that. Whereas if it's like you cannot eat at this time, I just don't eat. That's it.
I've found it to be similar. Like I can't eat some candy. I have to eat all the candy.
Yeah, man.
So it's easier not to eat any candy.
I also don't think I have many addictions, but I have to admit, There's something about carbs that, like, if I start eating it, I just don't think about anything else.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, like, Ashley can buy something in the store, like a bag of chips, or she buys these, is that San Francisco chocolate? Ghirardelli? Ghirardelli? Am I saying that right?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli. Thank you. She buys these little squares.
Yeah.
They got caramel in them. They're good.
They're really good. I've had those.
Yeah. She'll buy them and they'll go in the cabinet. Me, I'm in the store going, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. And I walk away. I can make the decision within the moment. If they're in the house, I'm doomed. It's like, I'll literally be in the kitchen. I'll be eating something. I'm like, how did I get here? It's like, I don't remember walking in here to eat. My mind was racing. I think I'm an emotional eater too. My mind would be racing and I would get myself fired up about something that I'm thinking. And then my instant response is to go eat. I don't know what that is. So it's easier for that.
I will say I'm not one to compliment either of you for any reason.
I know, well aware.
I pride myself on that. But you look great.
Thanks, dude.
You do.
You want to make out after the show?
No, I know. Well,
the post show.
First exclusive.
You look fine as well, but I can tell that you've dropped 70 pounds, probably 80 pounds.
No,
but I'm telling you, you've dropped a lot of weight.
Not that much, but I dropped a bunch. Right before my boat trip, I did kind of get off of it and then get back to it.
And you and I both you've been doing keto longer than I have, but we both did it independently. I had no idea you were doing it. Until you texted me and you're like, hey, are you doing keto?
Well, here's the thing. You told me about, or I think I learned it from Lindsay because she was making keto cupcakes.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Jeff's doing keto. So I came and talked to you about it. But dude, I'd never come and talk to you about something like that.
I know.
Because I know you'd be like, that's fucking horse shit. And,
Yeah, because I would launch into you.
Because it'd be something about trying to better your life. And Jeff would be like, well, I'm going to kill that.
Anything any of you ever do for betterment, I will ruin.
Jeff bonded with you once over the fasting when you fasted for like 3 hours with you.
That's true.
I fasted for 12 hours.
We did the master cleanse.
Well, yeah.
At 12 hours, including sleeping.
Yeah.
So
you fasted for like 3 hours.
He skipped breakfast. He skipped breakfast.
I skipped breakfast and lunch. It was dinner that got me. The problem was they were like, you can have, I remember we were at work and you were like, you can have 6 of these molasses water things a day. Whatever the fuck was in it.
It was maple syrup, cayenne pepper, and lemon.
Yeah, there you go. And I was like, I can have 6 of these a day. I had 6 before lunch. And then I was like, I'm fucked for 24 hours. This is it.
Yeah.
And I was
Do you remember why we did that?
Because Robin did it?
David Blaine did
Shit.
it. David Blaine was doing it to prepare for one of these stunts where he goes and lives in a box in New York Times for a week. And that's what he was doing.
New York Times?
He's living
in a box in the fucking newspaper.
This is the one where
He's living in the front page, the editorial
Hey,
box.
Patrick, when Gus is re-recording all 3 of his ads, can I re-record that part too? Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of re-recording, let's get to that. All right, thanks for watching.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, I'll see you guys in 6 months.
We'll see you guys next time.
Buy Jeff's book.
Bye.
You, work harder. You, stop loafing. You, click that link. Now!